So yeah, we are trying out native PHP today. We are going to give it the good old try, and we're going to create and build a test app on mobile. You can do this on iOS and also Android. We're going to do it today. We're going to test it on Android only because it's kind of an easier experience than iOS. Like setting up all the requirements, you need Android Studio, which is an easy download, an easy install in both Mac and Windows. And it comes already with an emulator, which is very easy to do, very easy to use. But everything that you're going to see works exactly the same way for iOS. The only hurdles that you have to overcome on iOS is one, you need a Mac. You can't do this on Windows. You can't build iOS apps on Windows, so you need the device. You need a developer account. Last time I checked, it might be different, but last time I checked, it was like $90. Let me check, actually. I don't know. Yeah, for the developer account, you have to pay $99 every year, and that gives you access to the ability to sign apps and put them in the store or test your apps on a physical device. And there is an enrollment process. So it's not as easy as it is in Android. Android, you can, if you have a device, if you have an Android phone, you can already test your app in a physical device. So it's a lot easier to start testing things. I already downloaded a couple of requirements. Like I said, I downloaded Android Studio. You just have to go to their website, download one installation file, and you get this by default. And you don't only get this, you also get something important that if you don't have a physical device, you can always use a virtual device. It already comes with one device pre-installed, which is a medium phone, basically. And it's basically emulates an Android device. It's basically just a phone running on an emulator. And when you're testing your app, the app will be compressed and installed on this emulator so you can see how it would run on a real device. I'm gonna leave this running for now, just running in the background. We are going to go through the documentation briefly. Also, we are going to build and install and try out the same app. Basically, we're gonna do twice. We're gonna build and install two apps. The thing is, I want to test the same experience, the same app on both Windows and Mac. Current version comes with all of this native functionalities. So you get vibration, toast, alerts. I don't know what this is about. Share. You can use the camera, your flashlight. You can use biometrics, push notifications, deep links, and NFC. And all of these other features are on the way. These are your requirements. If you want to start trying this out, you need PHP 8.3 or higher. You need Laravel 10 or higher. If you're going to do this on a Mac, you need Apple Silicon, macOS 12 or higher with Xcode 16, and an active developer account. And also you need a license. I need to do this as well. I don't think I have done this section. We're going to start working in a bit. I think we're going to start on macOS before moving on to Windows. I think we're good. Get you over here. Boop. Magic. Okay, so we're going to go through the documentation, go through the installation process, and we're going to create a test app, and we're going to build it and run it on Android. See how much of a painless process this is. All right, we're going to do this exports because I haven't done any of this. You need, I hope this is set. I'm guessing it is because I already installed Android Studio on my Mac as well. It looks exactly the same. So I'm guessing all of these paths have already been set for me. So let's start copying commands. This isn't required if Java Home is already set in the Windows environment. I am still going to run it anyway. We might have a problem. I don't have a Java runtime environment. Ooh. It's not mentioned in the requirements though. Oh, you should be able to successfully run Java-V from the terminal. If I can't do that, then we have a problem. So Java-V. Nope. Forgot about Java, damn it. All right, let's see if we can get that. I didn't have Java. Super weird. All right, back to where we were. Can I do this? So if I do Java-V, it's actually Java.version. And I can do ADB devices. There is no devices attached. That's fine. And I'm not on Windows, but I do know that I have 7-zip installed on Windows. All of these are set. Oh, there's the note. You cannot build iOS apps on Windows or Linux. Okay. For iOS apps specifically, you need the device and the developer license. NativePHP for mobile is built to work with Laravel. You can install it into an existing Laravel application or start a new one. We're going to start a new one. The most painless way to get PHP and Node up and running is with Laravel Herd, which is already running. What version though? Ooh. No. PHP 8.4, please. All right, install NativePHP for mobile. To make NativePHP for mobile a reality has taken a lot of work and will continue to require even more. For this reason, it's not open source, and you are not free to distribute or modify its source. Before you begin, you will need to purchase a license. Licenses can be obtained here. Once you have a license, you will need to add the following to your composer.json. Okay, we need a new project first and foremost. So go to Herd. What do we have here? Let's do Laravel. This is not big enough. Bigger. More. Laravel, new. Let's call it NativePHP. We're gonna go with Livewire, as always. Built-in authentication, that's fine. Laravel Vault, nah. Would you like to install run npm install and npm run build? Yes, please. All right, here we go. Make it bigger. There. So we need to edit our composer.json file to install the license. So let's grab this section here, copy and paste. Where do we put it? Doesn't really matter. I'm gonna put it over here. And then run composer required NativePHP mobile. Copy, open a terminal, and run it. When is it going to ask me for, okay, the username, that should be my email, which is no secret. So the username here is the email address with which you purchase the license. And the password is the key. Is this going to show? No, it's actually hidden. I need to get that key. Hold on. So yeah, whenever you purchase a license, it shows you that license when you as soon as you purchase it, and also you get an email with your license key. Don't lose that, and more importantly, never.
The stream is now paused for ads.
Share it. And that is the actual password that you use here the first time you want to install NativePHP mobile. Do you want to store credentials for NativePHP composer.sh in composer.json? Yes. So that way I don't have to authenticate every time. So it's always stored there, and you always have it handy. If you want to create or build another application, you don't have to authenticate again. What else? Let's keep it going. All right, that's done. If this is the first time you are installing the package, you will be prompted to authenticate. Your username is the email address you use when purchasing your license. I already said all of this, and your password is your license key. This package contains all the libraries, classes, commands, and interfaces that your application will need to work with iOS and Android. Everything included, batteries included. Nice. Before running the install command, already did I? Oh no, I haven't run it. I was saying, before running the install command, it is important to set the following variables in your .env. So let's copy this. Copied. Let's go back here. Hide this. I don't need you anymore. And let's open the .env file. And let's put this at the very end, like so. Let's change this to, oh, I changed, it's gonna be the same, isn't it? Should have chosen a different, does it matter? I mean, the package ID doesn't really have to be the same name as your project, I'm assuming. This is probably just for the, when you want to build your app and put it on the store, you do need to put something meaningful here, I guess. The way that this works, if I remember correctly, is .com dot in the name of the company. Maybe I can change that. So that'll be this. It's com.companyname.appname. I think that's the format of the app ID. But this is just for the App Store and the approval process, and if you're ready to deploy the application to production, I think. Now we're ready to run PHP Artisan native install. Look at that. Summoning native PHP service provider. Hamana. No info. No publishable resources for tag. Okay. Publishing native PHP mobile config assets. There's going to be a config file. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Which is copied into config/nativephp.php. And which platform do you want to install? Technically, we could do both. You could do both. It's gonna just bring everything that you need into your project. So if you decide to later include an iOS build for your application, you can always go for both. I think I'm gonna go for both, just in case I want to try it out later. But if not, if you're just targeting Android, then just choose Android or iOS if that's your target build. I'm gonna go both. Google services.json not found. Okay, so this is in case you want to use push notifications, if I'm not mistaken, which is done via Firebase or cloud messaging, I think. Skipping Android permission, post notification, use biometric, NFC, FCM, and that's pretty much it. Adventure awaits. iOS libraries downloaded. Android libraries deployed and ready for action. Dude, this is awesome. Let's go and let's keep going. Start your app. Heads up, before starting your app in a native context, try running it in the web. Try running it in the browser, if I can talk. You may bump into exceptions which need addressing before you can run your app natively. And this may be trickier to spot when doing so. So yeah, always test on the browser so that you can debug and catch your bugs early so that you don't run into weird problems when running natively. And once you're ready, PHP Artisan Native run. Since we haven't done anything in this app, it should be just the default Laravel app. So let's run this. Let's check it out. What? Please update native in your environment and to reverse DNS style. Did I do something wrong? What happened? Your native PHP app ID is still set to default. Is it though? Let me check something. Let's open the config file just to make sure that it is grabbing the value from the .env file. And this should be in NativePHP.php. App version code, app ID. NativePHP app ID, yeah. Do I have to use double quotes? I think that was it. I'm actually going to test that out. Hold on. Make this smaller. No, it's not the double quotes. Apparently I had a wrong value somehow. Now I'm interested. Is this not a right value? I don't know. It works. It's working now. So yeah, all you have to do is use a reverse DNS value for your app. Which platform would you like to run? Please run on Android. Build type. Debug is fine. No devices found. Launch the emulator. Ooh, look at that shit. That is awesome. It already detects the emulator that I have installed on my machine. And it launched on its, oh my God. This is great. This is PHP and it's great. Look at it, working on the background. I remember doing this. There was a time when I had the inkling for creating apps, and I tried React Native, I tried Flutter, and it took me forever, like a good while, to get to this point where you build the app and the app installs on your emulator, and then it just runs and it works. It took me a while. And right here is just install and build and run. Build failed. Well, spoke too soon. What is this? Gradle API Internet Cat. What is Gradle? No Java compiler found. It's always Java, man. You don't have a JRC setup. Oh, shit. Java. I'm going to give you a rundown of what is it that I did to fix the error that I was having. One, missing the Java development kit. It was a very important install that I did not have. So that was one thing. And the other one is a configuration thing that I thought had no importance, but it turns out it was really, really important. And I'll show you the error message that you are going to get if you configure it wrong. And hopefully we are going to get to build a couple of apps today. Very simple, very basic, just a starter kit. We're going to do that on Windows and Mac. We kind of had it on Mac, but we missed it by that much. Two things you have to do. First, you need Java. That was one of the things that I was missing, and it's kind of important, right? The idea is that you should be able to run these two commands. This is actually, I don't know what is -v, maybe it's an older version, but it's actually, on my machine at least, it's Java -version. So if you go to your terminal and you can do this and you get a message like that, then you're good to go. You have Java. Perfect. The other important command that you need to be able to run is adb devices. If you get something like that, or no attached devices or something like that, that message right there, then also you're good to go. Now, I was missing that as well. The way that you solve this is by installing the SDK development tools. You can do this easily by opening Android Studio, which, by the way, you should download and install as well. And once you have it, you can go to More Actions, SDK Manager, and then SDK Tools. Now, a couple of things here. You are going to need this first one here, Build Tools. I think that one is installed by default. The other one that you need, and it probably isn't installed, is the Android SDK Command Line Tools. You need that one, so install it. Now, the other two that are optional, but if you don't have them installed, will be automatically installed for you when you run, I think, the build command, the native run command, PHP Artisan native run. It's NDK, side by side, and CMake. You could, if you want, just check those off right here and save yourself a download later. So if you want them, you just have to check those two here before you even attempt to run a project. If you don't remember that, they will be installed for you at the time of building your application. The third component is the Java SDK. I was missing that. It's a really quick Google search. Just look for your operating system, JDK, download. And you'll be taken to the Java downloads page. Make sure you download and install the JDK package. And once you have that, you're actually good to go. In this case, I had to nuke the other project because it got a little messy. So I deleted that, and we're going to run the project again, create a new project again from scratch. And it should be pretty fast. I'm gonna go to my home folder. Where is the key? There. And inside her, and from here you can do Laravel new. And here you have to make a decision, because when you are configuring your .env file, there is the NativePHP app ID, which is a reverse DNS name starting with com dot, your company name, dot, your application name. At the start, I said, this probably doesn't matter. Boy, was I wrong. It matters a lot. First of all, this key right here, your application name, has to be exactly the same name as you are creating your application. Here, your application name has to match this key here. Otherwise, the build will fail. Also, you cannot use invalid characters. Dash, for example, does not work. There are reserved keys as well. You can't use the word native, for example. That is a Java reserved key, and you cannot use it as your application name. So you have to make that decision early if you want this to work. In this case, I'm just gonna call it, let's call it native demo. So we're going for Livewire and built-in authentication, that's fine. No vault and pest. Should only take a second, and there you go. Next thing you need to do, and we already covered this, is your composer.json file. You're gonna need this. Copy, and then we go here, composer.json. Let's put it at the end right here, like that. From here, you can actually install. So composer require native PHP mobile. If you're doing this for the first time, you're going to have to authenticate with your username, which is your email, and your license key for the password, and then save it. And if you choose to save it, then you don't have to authenticate anymore when you build later projects. Now, from here, now that we have this, you can actually configure your .env file. Now, your company name can be anything you want. Remember to not use invalid characters. In my case, I'm just going to go for 1902, and then your app name, native demo. And in fact, I'm going to do some science here. I'm just going to call it demo. Then you just run this command here, native install, and then PHP artisan, san native, if I can write, run. We're going to go for Android build, debug, and for the only emulator that we have installed, the emulator launches, and then it starts building. You son of a bitch. You're going to do this to me? It didn't work the last time that I tried it, and it worked now. So I was asking about the dev key. So this entry here, the app key. Last time I tried this, when I was off stream, I tried to use an application name, the very end of the key, to be different than my actual app name or project name. So I thought if I use something different, in my application is called native demo, and I use demo for the app key, I thought that somehow that was breaking my build. Turns out it's not the case. So I'm guessing it's only important to not use reserved keys and invalid characters in the app key. Otherwise, it's open to any value. Is that the case, or am I crazy? Can't contain native. So in that case, you're saying that if I do native here, is native demo okay? Or is it going to detect the word inside the word? Or is it in the namespace here? Let's do some science. Also, very important, and Shane is going to back me up on this one. Whenever you change anything on your .env file regarding native PHP, you need to reinstall the package or run the install command again, native install. Because of this little line right here, Android Studio project assembled is going to assemble a project for you for Android Studio, package it, and then send it. If something changed in your .env file and you don't run this command, then nothing is going to change on your Android Studio when you run it again. So always run the install again if you change your .env file. Let's try to run it with the native demo app name. Okay, there it failed. All right. That is what I was looking for. So you can't. The problem is the word native. Yeah, you get this weird error right here. I guess it's because of the native word inside the configurations. So if we go back to just demo and build again, it should work. Oh, look at that, failed again. Wow, isn't that weird? I went back to the same key that I had before, the word demo, and it's not doing it. What happens if I now do... No, I can't go back to native demo. That is what was killing it. Is there something that I have to refresh in this case to go back to the build functioning that I had before with this app key? Install force? Oh, let's do install force. Okay, it's install force. If you run install once and you change something, run native install force to make the changes stick. Good to know. And now we're back to good. Awesome. And yeah, we have a native app running on Android and it looks great. And let's try and do the same thing on Windows. So you can see how easy it is, not just on Mac, but on Windows as well. So let me switch to my Windows PC. Again, few things that you need to do. Download Android Studio. Windows sucks. Shane came back just to say that. Windows sucks. Like I was saying, on Windows, the things that you need to do to prepare. First of all, open your terminal. You need to be able to run those two commands. You need to do Java version. If that doesn't work, go and download the Java runtime environment for Windows. The other that you need to run is ADB devices. Again, if that doesn't work, go open Android Studio. It looks exactly the same. Go on to Android Studio, more actions, SDK manager, SDK tools. Make sure you have the SDK build tools installed and also the command line tools as well. NDK side by side and CMake. Once you have that, make sure also that you have the SDK installed. So if you're not sure, better safe than sorry. Look for Windows Java SDK, download the installer, run it, and you're good. Then for the environment variables, that's the funny part. Close this. You go to the
Davis
docs.
Dev with 50 channel points said, I'm a web developer, but I've never made mobile apps. Just PWA.
Well, this is your chance. What do you use for the language? Angular, really? Just vanilla? Have you heard of our Lord and Savior PHP and Laravel? If you know PHP, you should definitely try Laravel. More now than ever. If you like JavaScript and vanilla stuff, you might also want to try. Might feel comfortable using React or Vue.js. If you want to try that and also try Laravel, you can look into Inertia, which is like a way of joining those two together and living happily ever after. You don't like the React syntax? I'm right there with you. How about Vue.js? Or if you don't like or don't want to write any JavaScript, just go for Liveware. Liveware is very useful, especially if you want to try and make a mobile app with PHP and native PHP, because event management is key in this case. So for Windows, you need a couple of environment variables. You can use set. I don't know if set will set the variables permanently, but what I did was I went to settings, you go to system, about, and then under device specifications, advanced settings, and then environment variables, and there you are. I set, in my case, all I had to do was set up this two, Android SDK root, and look for the Android Studio SDK folder. Java home, this is the JDK folder that I created by installing the JDK, by using the JDK installer. And then in the path, I just added those two, plus, only those two. So make sure you have these two in the path and also those two in your environment variables, and you should be good to go. From there, You just have to go into your terminal. I'm using the regular PowerShell. I'm going into my herd folder and let's create a new Laravel application. So Laravel new, let's call it same thing, native demo. If I can type, we're gonna go again with Livewire, Laravel built-in authentication system, Laravel Vault, no thank you, and pest. It will take a little longer if you work on macOS and then move on to Windows. I don't know if that's only me or if this is a common occurrence, but I do notice that Composer, it's a lot slower on Windows. So this part, generating optimized autoload files, does take considerably longer time on Windows, at least on my experience. I don't know if that's just me or if this is like par for the course. So we will give this a second to finish. We will remain silent for the remainder of this. Sometime today will be great. I mean, Jesus Christ, finish already! Has it been like 5 minutes already? So yeah, Windows, huh? Amazing. Seriously, what the... Are you dead? Or no? I think it's dead. Hello? Ah! I don't know. Feels like it's dead. You know how to fix that? Please. Windows Defender? Really? Whitelist your project directory. Where? Whitelisting folders in Windows Defender. Okay. Start settings, updates, and security. Start settings. Okay, getting closer. Manage settings, exclusions, manage settings, here we go. Exclusions, Jesus Christ. Add an exclusion, folder, herd, select folder, and I'm done, right? Chupalung. Now let's go here and let's try that again. Clear, Laravel, new, native demo, Livewire, Laravel. New 0. Wow! God damn! I've been suffering for the better part of 6 months while developing on this crappy operating system. Thank you so much. Why are you like this, Windows? Why are you so bad? Night and day. Stupid Windows Defender, man. That is so stupid. All right, so we have native demo installed. Now let's do all of the things. Open it in code. First thing we need, composer.json. Let's go to the installation docs, which I closed for some stupid reason. Mobile. Installation. Let's grab this. Copy. And pasta. There you go. Composer require NativePHP mobile. Again, I have authenticated here once, so I don't have to do it again. And now generating optimized autoload files, it's that fast. All right, Composer, done. We need the .env file configured. So I'm gonna take these entries here. So we now have this 3 lines configured just like we did in iOS. Other than that, we are good. Now we can do PHP artisan native install. All right. Now PHP artisan native run debug and 0 for the only emulator that we have installed. It boots up. All right, Gradle starting, compilation starting as well. I just want to make sure that it builds, that it runs, and then we're done. Here we go. Yeah, build successful. Rise, my child. Okay, awesome. You can have one code base, whether on Mac, Windows, or Linux, and create your apps that way. Amazing, amazing.